We're good to go. Take one. Let's go.
Cool. Yeah. Hi, we're in Brazil at Giftival number 3, and I'm Alpha Low.
And I'm Frederick Malouf. I have a radio show called THEQSE, that's THEQSE, at Bondi Beach Radio that discusses sustainability and well-being.
Cool. So how do you see gifting?
Really, gifting is probably the most empowering exchange mechanism that I know, because it values the quality of who we are, values reputation, which is unlimited, and it affords that we can create sustainably and work together.
Well, I think we need to stop, because I think that dog is going to...
That's okay, we can just keep going on.
Okay, we'll just redo that. Okay, just that last sentence. Okay, because you can cut it.
I think so.
Well, I mean, that was better, because now the dog's go.
Okay.
Okay, let's start again. Okay. Oh, there it goes.
No,
Okay, shoot. You think it cuts out?
Man, don't worry about
Okay,
it. It's okay because the mic is here and he's far away.
Okay, cool. Cool, great.
You just lost all the energy there, man.
Okay. So how do you see gifting?
What? Okay. Let's go.
Okay, how do you see gifting?
Gifting to me is one of the most empowering, and it is actually the most empowering exchange mechanism that we can actually apply to our life. It is totally qualitative. It values our reputation with what we make. And because being sustainable is so important, it also affords that people work together to being sustainable. And that to me is the priority and the true profit of what makes us as creators great.
And you've been doing some work about how to scale up gift economies.
I have. The reason being, just to give it some grounding, is I find a lot of people think that gifting can only work at small scale. And while I think that's really important, I don't think it's just limited there. People say that their human nature, whatever you want to define that to be, errs toward not trusting as scale gets larger. Now, in a scarce economy, that would actually be correct. But gifting affords abundance. It changes the status of not what we have, but more to do with how we use the things that we have access to. So it really drives quality of life and, again, connection. So I know that we're coming from a really hard space where people are being driven by debt and owned by debt, and that really just drives fear to the total end game, and it's a really difficult place to get out of. So I look at it specifically that if I want someone who has resources that are locked up in a competitive economy, and I need them in a collaborative economy, which of course the final game would be gifting, I've got to approach their fear and offer them an incentive that would afford they to want to shift over, and look at then the mechanics on how to make that happen. So ultimately, the short game of that is I say to an industry or someone in an industry, you're debt driven, let me offer you a model that will get you out of debt. I have not just work people, but consultants that will go onto your floor and work for nothing and change you to a production on demand line.
Okay, well, can we pick a particular industry?
Okay, sure. I did an example with Tesla.
Okay.
So Tesla's great because it's progressive, but it's still a debt-driven model. He still has to produce a certain amount of cars, and even though he's in demand, the point is that will change over time. So I say to Elon, I've got some people that are willing to work for you for nothing and help you change and support you in a production on demand protocol. That will increase his profit margin. That will afford that he doesn't have to be in debt or even ask for funding. And in return, for those people working for free, anyone in the gifting community, which of course there'll be other people doing the same thing, doing the same model but in different sectors, can ask for a car and have it delivered to them. Anyone who's outside of the community pays for the car like normal. And because of the expertise, I know he's got lots of experts that work on the vehicle, but still, nevertheless, there are people that are willing to learn that, drive it, redistribute it, and make the car on demand. And it's not just one or two, three types, it can be 20 different types, because it's not just owning the car that matters. It's not even the status that it saves better energy that matters. It's, I need this car to do the thing that I want to do to give to my community.
So a vehicle production company, if they're having workers who are gifting their work, that
Yes.
allows them to save on costs, which then allows this vehicle, production company to then gift in turn.
Exactly.
And when you say sectors, I understand that you're saying from many different sectors like healthcare.
I'll give you the 6 sectors that you really kind of have to get into a gifting community to really let money go, which is food, clothing, shelter. We all know those. But in this day and age, it is also technology, transport, and healthcare.
Cool.
Get those 6 sectors sorted, and then you can start leveraging out of the money model, get people out of debt. That puts the banks into crisis, but then we don't need them anymore.
Right.
But that also empowers those people who are in banks because they think that's the most secure industry to be in, to say, well, what is the thing that I really wanted to do? And I said, well, why don't you come to the gifting community and we'll teach you the thing that you want to do, not the thing you have to do.
Right.
It's all about really driving your creative journey,
Right.
whatever that may be. And that's what gifting affords.
Right.
It really values reputation as the priority above anything else.
Right. And so we kind of need these 6 sectors to kind of move into this gifting thing. And that is a big jump. And I know you're proposing a stepping stone process, which is the stable free currency.
Right, yes.
So a local currency.
Absolutely. And that's an easy go-between for people to get access. Like a company is based around debt. Why don't we have an alternate currency model that everyone can use, that's still accessible, easy to kind of get your head around, and again, would put the banks under distress. So you say, why are we using a debt currency? And the reason why money should not be debt driven is because money itself is not a commodity. It's not something that was created as an entity to own. It was just an exchange of the things that we make.
Right, and what you mean by debt is that when you borrow $100, you have to pay $110 back. In this currency, you borrow $100, you only have to pay $100 back.
Absolutely.
Right, and so it doesn't create this kind of fighting to pay back debt that happens in our normal
Absolutely.
system. Yeah. And
you
so
know your stuff there, man. Wow, that's good.
So you propose, and one of the ways you can do it is to look at some of the local currencies that are happening around and maybe scale them up a little bit so that the larger industries are starting to use them.
Let me give you 2 examples that are already using debt-free. One is called Sardex, which is based in Sardinia. It took them 6 years to understand that the best way on leveraging the popularity of their currency was to have it debt-free. And the other one is Tumin actually. It's Tumin. It's in Mexico. I'm actually being told, by being in Giftival, that it has a base of about 200,000 to 300,000 people using it, which is pretty astonishing, over 12 sectors, 12 regions in Mexico. And how they leverage to move to a debt-free currency is you start paying a portion of payments in the debt-free versus the debt model, because of course people are still using the debt model. But as more industries come in the same way that I talked about gifting, as they come into the debt-free model, which of course is easier to get your head around, then they can increase the proportion of payments in the debt-free currency to the point where you don't need the debt model anymore. Mm-hmm. And that starts shifting to, well, now what makes me different for people to buy from me than the other guy? Because prices start to equalize. So at the moment, with debt models, everything is really building inequality in the system, and we're looking for different ways on how to reduce inequality. But the exchange model doesn't afford that to happen. But when you have a debt-free model, things start to converge. And there's a scientist, his name is Richard Ryan. Dan Pink is a very well-known person in the TED circles who talks about Richard Ryan's work, that says that we're actually a lot happier when inequality is lower. And about human nature, when we are afforded our creative capacity to do something, we'll do it just for the fact that we're known that we're a part of being in that space because we're valued as a contribution, even though I really don't like that word, but still we're contributing to something that has meaning for us.
Right.
But when it's an external driver, like you need to do something which is mechanical, doesn't require any creative input, we need an external motivator, and that's where money comes in. And that's again the mistake. We don't have to do things mechanically. We can find creative ways to do any job we're doing now if we afford that to happen. And I think the argument when people are saying that we have to change human nature, it's like, well, you also have to change the environment that it works in at the same time.
Right.
Because you're working from a disempowered point to an empowered point, and you have to have the environment to allow that empowered capacity to come through.
Yeah, so there's a couple of shifts happening. One is from this kind of moneyed economy to the stable free currency or the local currency, and then to gifting. And then also there's this
Or
kind of...
even you could go straight to gifting if you've got the capacity.
Right.
One or the other, yeah.
And then there's also this shift from like what you're doing and your motivation. So there's a shift from being externally motivated by money and doing things that maybe you're not passionate about to shifting to doing things that you're passionate about.
Totally.
And that's the
passionate
other
about.
transition that's currently happening in parallel.
Yes.
Yeah.
Can I give you what I think the end game is?
Okay.
That you'll be able to communicate freely with other people with no fear. Because that's really what, I personally am trying to achieve. But as in for everyone to be with no fear, not me. I'm already there. I'm such a genius. And, okay, can we edit that out?
We're going to put reverb on it.
Okay, right. So anyway, but the idea that you're encouraged to let go of fears. Again, when it's a process, when you process that, you have to reach this state of empowerment, and you need to buy my book or do this course and all these things that you pay for, that's not getting there. You own your journey, but in gifting, you're supported to own your journey. And that makes the whole thing different because everyone's on the same path and it's not a competition anymore. And that's pure joy talking. And, that's, as a comparison, like drugs, not even close to this type of enlightenment. Yeah.
Cool. Thank you.
It's a pleasure. Thanks for having me on. Peace.